So actually this morning, before we started recording, when I walked in, she was up screwing this up. So there was action happening.
Yes, there
you
was.
just put this panel up.
Yes.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Tara, a farmer from Northern California, and this channel is mainly about farming, but sometimes it's not. And today we are going on a field trip. So for today's field trip, we are at Araceli Farms with Justina.
Hello.
This is such a beautiful location.
Thank
We are
you.
in Dixon, California.
Yes, we are.
And we have a beautiful wall of lavender behind us. So how did you get into this?
So I was actually working for a big corporation after college and wasn't really happy there. Had kind of jumped around from job, probably like 2 different jobs. My parents have always had this farm, so they've had it for about 20 years, and as you can see over there, they leased it out. So no ag background, really played no part in it. We came home for summers and winters because we were living abroad. So didn't grow up with an ag background, but somehow was kind of thinking to myself, okay, I'm not really loving what I'm doing here. I wasn't feeling like I was serving a purpose, really. I guess I wasn't connecting the dots with like, if I'm selling this product, how exactly am I making like a difference in people's lives? So when I went to my next job, I thought I was gonna be, doing that, kind of serving a community or helping. It wasn't quite that. So again, I felt very lost. And it was just kind of through stripping away, I feel like, expectations and judgments and my ego, honestly, of being like, well, I went to college, I need this type of title. And I just kind of asked myself, like, you know how you ask little kids, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? I literally asked myself that, and I just like, farm. And I just was like, where did that come from? Like, what is that about? And so I did some research, and I kind of came across, because again, no ag background, so I was like, tomatoes are intimidating, that, all the inputs and fertilizers, and I was just like, livestock obviously is a whole different ball game, so I was just like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I looked at some kind of like dummy-proof crops, and lavender was one of them, and I just felt like, wow, you can really get behind that because there's so many uses for it. It's so beneficial.
How long ago did you start the lavender farm?
2017.
2017.
Yeah, so my mom and I were here when it first started. We kind of like, we were the ones with the crew and all of that. My dad was in the Philippines, still on assignment, and he came back, I wanna say in like 18 or 19. And then, they now live in the house. I live in Sacramento, which is nice.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll head outside and check out the farm and see what you've got going.
Sounds good.
So when you started here, like, did you find someone who grew lavender, or like, how did you even like know where to go?
I know.
You know,
that was the craziest part. Is we found someone in Sequim, Washington, and they ended up being kind of like a consultant, and they also sold plugs. Now I go through someone else who he's very much like a purist of where he gets his varietals from.
Okay.
And he's so knowledgeable about just about everything, honestly. So he was actually someone who came to help me, give me advice about the disease. Once we planted them, it was kind of like I've been trying to keep up with them, and ever since then it's kind of just been like trial and error.
Okay, so we're here in the lavender field where the action happens, and today is June 6th.
Yes.
So when is like the peak of the season here?
So since we have 7 different varieties on site, they all kind of bloom at different times. But what's nice is I would say there's probably about 2 big blooms. When people come, what they are usually expecting is our grosso to be in bloom, which is like the big purple plants. Because when you think lavender, that's what you think of.
Right.
But there's actually over 400 different varieties. This one's super nice. It's very green in color until it blossoms.
Yes.
And then it's just like this really vibrant purple. And
look at all the bees.
Yes. And the bees actually help us so much because they give us a good indication as to where we're at in the bloom. So if we see like the bees right now are loving the Provence, and that's because the Provence is pretty much ready to be harvested right now.
It's gorgeous.
Yes.
So do you want to harvest it before the little flowers come out?
So actually, it kind of depends what you're harvesting it for. So for us, if we're doing, let's say culinary buds, we probably want it fairly early on.
Okay.
If we want it for like how we saw in the barn where it's hung for bouquets, then we want it to open a little bit. So like this would actually look pretty perfect to start harvesting it for bouquets.
Okay.
And then when it comes to oil, you want it to be almost 80% opened up.
So let's check out the other varieties.
Yes, absolutely.
So you said everything kind of blooms at different times.
Yes. So right now we're seeing our Provence and we haven't harvested it yet. And then this one's our white spike, which isn't quite in bloom just yet.
Not ready yet.
No.
See the little white flower. So is it all white?
Yeah. So once it starts to open up, it'll be white. No.
Does it smell? Not really.
Not yet. If you
I can't smell it too much.
give it a good squeeze.
Oh yeah, wow, that changed a lot. I couldn't smell anything at first.
Yeah, when you like manipulate it.
And then it really smells like it. So is this one also just for decorative?
Yep, decorative. Yeah, we tried to distill it for oil.
But once you did that, it smells so good.
Yeah. This one's again one of the aromatic varietals, but our Grosso is just the best for oil. It just smells so good. So when I smell something else, like we tried our Provence, we tried the white spike, not my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are your culinary ones, the smaller bushes.
Yes. Yeah. So,
and they're gonna have less scent.
Yes, less scent, less of a yield when we harvest. So that's why they are the same price as our larger ones when we do sell them in bundles.
Okay.
Because we don't get as many per bush.
Okay.
But they have the deepest color.
Interesting.
Yeah. So people love the color of them.
So when we were in the barn, those little tiny short bundles, that's what these are.
That's what those are.
Okay.
Yeah. And we sell a lot of these quite quickly, just because again, less of a yield.
Right.
But also the color people just really gravitate towards.
Okay. So if people want to come out here, what is the process?
So it's super simple. We do have a website, aracelifarms.com. Under that, you're gonna go to shop and there's events. And then once you see the events, you hit farm visit.
Okay.
And read that product description. It has pretty much all the information you need. You pick a date and you pick a time that works for you. They're 2-hour windows. We are open Thursday through Sunday. So that's how you do it. You book your ticket, you show up. You can also buy tickets at the door. So we're super flexible with everything.
Okay.
Just as long as it's obviously between the times that we're open. That's all we ask.
Right. But if people want to take professional photos, is that the same process?
No. So if they want to take professional photos, we actually have private sessions now.
Okay.
So that's what's really nice is you get a more intimate setting of the field. So that way you can do your props, without any problems. The private sessions, really, people come here for the photos and boom, 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 and then we see them later and we're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, because they're usually very professional.
Right.
We have a lot of fine art photographers that come out and like to do things that we see the pictures and we're just blown away.
Okay, so we went and got a knife.
Sickle, yes. So I'll show you guys again. So this is kind of, we hook it, and I'll actually cut you. So then we just pull. So you do have to be very careful. We tend to tap it at the end just so it's nice and even.
Okay.
And then we'll keep going. Some people have their methods. It's nice in the field. Everyone kind of has their ways of doing it.
Yeah.
But I would say probably get done in like a 6-hour day. About each person will get done about like 80 plants.
6 hours, 80 plants.
Probably anywhere. So a slower person will do about 50. One of my fastest girls will do about 80.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what has been some of the most difficult parts about planting this? Because I know we talked about the dead plants over there that had some issues.
Gosh, there's so much of it. I think there's a combination of not having the confidence because I wasn't technically trained or formally trained in ag. So having that confidence to speak on something that you really don't have a background on. I'm someone who when I'm speaking on something, I love to have sources. I love to be able to reference things. So to not be able to do that, I think was hard. It took a couple months for me to feel okay, I still, to this day, I feel I still don't quite feel like a farmer, which is
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I think that's totally valid. It's hard because you're in this whole new industry and you really, you have some mentors, but a lot of it is self-taught. But you have done an amazing job
You're
here.
Very, very sweet. Another thing that was a huge learning experience was just learning how much is out of your control.
Yeah.
Farming is probably one of the most humbling things I can think of, because it's like you think you have it planned out and you think you know what's going on, but you're just constantly reminded that like at a drop of a hat, everything can change.
Okay, so we've harvested these.
Yes.
And you bring them in here in wagonfuls, basically.
Yes, yes.
And then what's the next step?
So
where does it go from here?
I'll actually show you guys back there because we have a few that we're waiting to hang.
That way we can be out of the way.
Yes. This is kind of how we dump them on tarps.
Okay.
And then once they're dumped on tarps, we use paper clips. So it's super low tech, and we
and those
bend
are
them.
okay. I was gonna say you just buy paper clips and bend them open.
And then what we do is we hook them onto the rubber bands like that, and then they're ready to hang.
And then you just hang them up there.
Hang them up. So we'll start at the bottom.
Oh, you start at the bottom.
Yeah, and we'll make our way up.
Oh, that makes sense because that way they overlap like that.
Absolutely.
And these are those the velvet ones.
Yes, and these are ready to hang as well. They were harvested this morning.
And what are these lighter ones?
Those are our Melissa.
Those are the Melissa.
Yeah, those are the Melissa.
Okay, for culinary.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice.
So some people will think, they're like, oh, like, is that what it looks like when it's dried? And then that's when we kind of get to educate them as well. Like, oh, actually it's a different varietal, and it's fun. Yeah.
And then what do you feel like the majority of people buy them for?
Decor, I think, in their home.
Yeah.
To debud for sachets. But a lot of people are like wreaths as well.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw a wreath.
Yeah, it's over there.
Okay. And do you do any classes here?
I do some workshops sometimes.
Okay.
It's more so when I can like, kind of right now in the season, it's really hard to do anything but be open.
Right.
So off season, I'm trying to incorporate more like workshops and lavender wreath making.
And if people want to follow you on Instagram, it's just at Araceli.
At Araceli Farms.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you post all the events there.
Yeah. I'm probably most active on Instagram than like Facebook or anything else. So that's kind of a go-to for like information or anything like that.
Yeah. Do you sell the pieces right off the wall or no?
We don't, because we actually weigh them to make sure that they're all consistent. That way, yeah, because it was like kind of hard. Some of them were bigger, and then people were like, oh, well, I want that one. So we just weigh them so they're all the same weight. Quick little pit stop. This is our still. This is how we make our essential oil. So water goes down here, propane burner under it, plant matter up here, and then the piece is actually missing. It's over there, so it's not together, but we have basically a condenser where like the coils go down and then it's full of cold water. So essentially what happens is the steam that comes up will get cooled down and then it condenses down to hydrosol and essential oil. And I'll show you the hydrosol and essential oil over here. So this is where we have our dried bundles. So it's always nice and buddy over here. We do actually have some people, which I love because this will honestly just sprinkle on the bottoms of our toilets so they smell good. But some people will come and they'll collect these buds and I'm like, go ahead. These are our hats, and we actually get these from a local company that use organic cotton. So they're in Sebastopol, we love them, but organic hats over here.
Yes, it is.
And then we also do support some other businesses as well. So we have Renewable Jewels over here, who is a local jewelry artist. And then you'll start to see all of our products. This is a great way to sample them. But everything starts with our essential oil. So this is kind of the basis for all of our products. So this is our little essential oil. And can you believe it, to make this, it takes 3 pounds of plant matter. So when I tell people like use sparingly, use devotionally almost, don't just like put it everywhere. It's super, super concentrated. So I'm never one to say like, put it in water and drink it or anything like that. It's always like, make sure you dilute it, make sure you're using it properly. Then from the essential oil, we have lotions, we have scrubs, we have all different types of products, and our labels are compostable, which is really, really nice. And then these are also a really big favorite of ours. The local artist that made them is actually working here this season, which is really great. She's right out there. And then we have posters as well. We have lavender cookies that our local panaderia makes right here. This is a dozen. And then outside we have our lavender lemonade. So the artist that's over here, we absolutely love her. She again is Olivia, who painted that mural on the shed in 2018. So she has all of these paintings here, and these were actually inspired by the lavender. So it's her lavender series that she released yesterday.
If someone wanted to get into lavender farming, where would be a good spot for them to start?
Ooh. It's always a great idea to start with research. I don't think I started with enough research, and that's going to other farms, asking farmers. But I would say there's one big caveat. Make sure you are either compensating that farmer for their time and that they are aware of what you're doing. Because I've gotten people before that handle it really well, where they're like, we know that you're so busy, like, can you please, we have all these questions, I'd love some time of yours. And they go about it that way. And I've had other people who come here, buy our products, ask a ton of questions, and then later on I see, like, you know, some things that are similar, or maybe they're taking up like 2 hours of the day, and I'm kind of like, okay, I'm trying to be nice. So there's definitely, I think, great ways to go about it. And I think with anything in farming too, it's just research, ask around. There is a really great community, and I think as long as you are very mindful of people's time, they're always going to be appreciative of like sharing that with you. And it's always nice to have community over competition. I did have one person, it was really sweet. They wanted to potentially do a lavender farm, so they were like, can we come out and we like help you prune? I was like, absolutely. They came out for like half a day, and then they were like, you know, I don't think this is for us. And it's just like, but that was great, right? They got to get the experience, and it's like, that's so much better than having planted a bunch of plants and then realizing like, oh my gosh, this takes an insane amount of work.
Okay, well, thank you so much for the tour today. And the best way for people to follow you if they just want to see what's going on, sounds like Instagram.
Instagram, Araceli Farms. We also have the website
Sounds like to contact you, the website, for sure.
Email. aracelifarms@gmail.com.
All right, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, that was really fun.
Sustainability. It's who we are and what we do. We're in it for the good of farmers. We're increasing the livelihoods and sustainable practices of 500 million smallholder farmers. We're in it for good.